Oh boy. This is beginning with the noon activations tomorrow. By the time we get to Technique 5, crystal spiral activation, that will be the 11:11 p.m. Sunday night, tomorrow night, where we have the Night of the Two Moons engages, the light seed core separation, all of that that's listed. That I think it was listed on something. I don't know if everybody has a copy of it. It went out on the e-group, so there's some copies of it and some not. There was no time to put together a chart pack for this. There's billions of pages of information all over the place, so we don't have a chart pack yet, so we're doing the best we can with this. But where we're going to be tomorrow evening, 11:11 p.m., that's when the tachyon helium bonds also heat, ignite, and spark. Yes, okay. And that's when the diamond door of the tower opens, when the crystal form of the nada crystal that is at the diamond door ignites and vaporizes completely. And then we go into for between 12:12 a.m. again tomorrow night, but it runs also through noon. It'll be noon in the planetary shield, but it will be the midnight before, which is tomorrow night for us, in the indigo shield. This is where we get birth of the rainbow bridge, and all sorts of interesting things are going to be happening. That's where we get the opening of the diamond door, the still point, the 0 point, and the return to God source point. Now, this is going to be very interesting. I'm really hoping we pop out of here. I would be so thrilled. Even for a visit. 5 minutes, I think it would be so cool, just for a visit. I don't know if that happens yet, because as this was coming through, I was also getting about 3 other lines of stuff that are going to be text, but there's only one body to take it down, so I have to take one line at a time. That in what some of you may know what I'm talking about when I say the starborn cycle, where there's that cycle that goes from the first Partakai, second Partakai forms the triad, then the triad sparks and forms the Taran, then the Taran does its thing, which is this thing, and then pulls into source and comes back out with itself plus a double replica of itself, which is the dyad, and then that does its thing, its cycle, and then that pulls in and comes back out times 2 again, where you go from the Taran to the dyad to the myad to the monad, all the way up through the structures of the first creation structures of the light body. This implies that there is a tachyon cycle for each level of those. And what we are doing right now is the first one. It also implies that we are on the starfire cycle, which is when all of the levels go together, where we're not just doing, say, the rebirth of one of the outer layers. It's going from the core, which means all of the other ones will have their cycle, and then there will be a final cycle when they all go in together, and that's going to be really interesting. That's the starfire point. It could be as far as 2047 away, but I get a feeling it's around 2014, and I don't know what that is going to look like, but this is what we're preparing for. As far as popping off tomorrow night, just even briefly, it would be so fun, just to be able to say we did it. Oh, cool, right? Finally, yes. I don't know how this works in the atomic structure yet, because we're on the Taran level. Now, that is a level of our core. Our core matter bodies, light bodies. Does this affect our D2 light field? All right, because our physical bodies are actually roaming around in the D2 light field. I'm not sure yet. There's probably a whole line of transmission that explains that. So whether we actually get to fully pop off, or whether we get to, say, travel with our Rachelet body, I'm not sure yet. I'm learning with you. So I just wanted to let you know that the reading was important in the sense that you're not expected to remember all of that. But hopefully it showed you a connection between this Taran thing, the little light seed that makes sparks, that the sparks collect, and they make, they make Helana sparks, the Helana sparks collect, and they make helans that you've heard about before. And then these things progressively become keys, and then the keys become tachyons, and the tachyons become a tachyon field, and that's all a part of this process. So when you hear about keys, and you hear things like keys of Enoch or anything like that out there, this is what they're talking about. They're talking about the keys to atomic structure. And it's interesting, too, the keys of Enoch, E-N-O-C-H, are the keys of Eno-Ka. They have no Ka turned on. They're mutated. And when you get into the numbers, see, I also have tons of papers, probably 100 different scribbled papers, that finally I've got most of the numerics down on how many of these and what quantum do they have makes this, then how many of these, what quantum do they have. The quantums come down to how much stored electrical energy potential is at the core of these units. And it is stored in various different things that start as units called roos and ers, and they progressively break down with the phasing of particuli to become what are called joules. And joules are units of heat that even our science knows are there that form calories. And calories are what the body runs on. So this is all plugged in, and we do have the numbers. When you get to the numbers, there's also the set of parallel numbers that go with the mutation that show instead of 12 kilon of sparks forming a kilon, you've got 4. And it affects the joule count. It affects how much energy, stored electrical potential, is actually in those keys. So the keys of Enoch and those kind of keys that are built on Metatronic scales have much less potential of stored electricity, which means they are not capable of riding certain bands of frequency that are natural within the starborn cycle. But what they do is run reverse currents, and you can go various places with those keys, but they're usually places, if you knew where they were, you wouldn't want to go. So there is a big difference between the essential mechanics that we are teaching and those that have been put out so far. We are breaking through the frequency fence mind control net that has been progressively built on this planet since Atlantis. And this is an accomplishment. So I want you to know what you're a part of. Here we go. I feel it. All right. I just got a ran down. 6-minute warning? Okay. Got 6 minutes. Honey, can you keep track of the time for me? Thank you. I don't even have a watch that has Phoenix time on it right now. So we've got 6 minutes for incoming, and incoming means we're going to go live, which means I don't know what it means either yet, for Technique 3A, which will be the Eartha key activations. I can say within this time that we have the 6 minutes, with the techniques that eventually will be put out in written form. Because we are all together, because we are catching the activations live when they leap from the solar shield, we are getting the strongest activations possible. So we will be able to use, and they do use when they're coming through, when we're coming through verbal and live, they'll use a shorthand. What needs to be done most within this particular group for these particular conditions will be given. That format will be used, but you will find variations in the final long version written information that comes out. You can use either one of them. Any pieces of these techniques can be used to amplify various things because there are levels of keys to activate. And so there's like lots of techniques within each technique, little parts. You can play with your viewing screen. You can do different things. You can play with your Rochelet eyes, those kind of things. So there will be techniques coming, formalized techniques that go with each of these 6. I can hardly wait because it's probably going to be 100 pages by the time it's done with how long these techniques are running. And they're taking ages. They're taking like 2-3 days to bring in one because it breaks up at a certain point and you have to go out to get the next piece and that kind of thing. So they'll be here when they get here, but at least you got the activations that those techniques are meant to create, and that's what's most important. They'll be available for other people once we can get them out. Most we have now is to get the tapes ready from here where they can run them, as they're being run with the video. But we're on an amazing adventure here. I wasn't expecting this this early. I knew we'd get into this kind of information later, probably after 2012, but here we are. And it's kind of exciting. There is going to be a point where I do think we get experience of popping on and off, which means going through, probably through the EDONs, because they're activating all the EDON gates now, which means before long they will be open for passage. That doesn't mean we're going to necessarily use them yet, but it means we can get friendly visitors, and we can possibly, because we're activating our fire letters, get to the point where we can go through for temporary visitation. This can be really fun because if you have a really busy schedule, you can go for 6 months and come back 3 minutes later. Because once you can go through, you can arrange the coordinates in space-time that you want to reappear at. You can actually reappear before you left. But that gets a little confusing with the memory imprints. Right? A lot of times we actually do go on visitation. People, I know a few people, myself included in my younger days, who had missing time, where they were just missing. They don't know where they were. And their bodies were missing too, because nobody else knew where they were either. And sometimes after a while they'll start to remember that, geez, I have this really weird set of memories, like I was on another planet. They probably were, because there are those on both sides who are capable of taking you through local gate systems, and that has been going on with the Zetas for quite a while. And they're not friendly. They're not playing friendly agendas, but there have been people who are already experiencing missing time. Missing time can be experienced in a positive sense when you're going through positive gates as well. If your bio nature can't process all the frequencies involved in what you just experienced, it'll store it until the DNA can hold that activation level where the memory will come online as something you consciously remember. But in the meantime, you'll just have like a blank spot. You might not even remember that you were missing, which is kind of fun. If you ever have, there's one experience that they're letting me know this now, that I've had these, I haven't had them in a while, but in the early days when we were completing the walk-in, walk-out and getting the body used to letting the astral body pop in and out a lot for going to get information and that kind of stuff, there is a really strange type of experience that we'd have sometimes where we'd be starting to go to sleep, just regular sleep, and we were already flying all over the place in our sleep state. Like, forget it. As soon as we ended up asleep, the body was out, and the astral body was out. It was doing stuff. It was hanging on the ceiling, trying to figure out how to get its legs down. I mean, it was doing all sorts of training. But this was a state that occurred after astral body training had started, and it was when you just start to go to sleep, or when you just start to wake up, you actually feel transparent physically, as if the body was just coming back in. And it's a different feeling than coming back into your body that stayed there. This has to do with times when the body actually did blink out. And it usually won't be done. Your higher self won't let it be done. Say if your kids are present or somebody's there to watch. I used to think I'd like to set up a video camera and just make sure. I want to see if that body stays there, right? Because there would be times when I swear it was gone, because I could feel it phase back in. As I was coming back in, it's like, wait a minute, I'm coming in from the astral, but it's not here yet. You know what I mean? How do you get back into your body when your body's still gone? You know? So if you start getting these states, it's time right now? Okay. Anyway, if you start getting these states, know they're part of the process of DNA activating, key activating, and there may be it might be worth doing the video camera thing if you start having those, because you may actually catch yourself on tape popping out and disappearing. Of course, nobody will believe you. All right? They'll say you doctored the tape, but you'll know. Right? And we'll know. We'll believe you. Right? Okay, yeah, I felt it coming in. It was getting the heat, so I got to take this off for this. It's hot. Already hot. Okay, hello. Who are they? Oh, we've got the usual council. It gets larger every time, I think. But I just noticed something. There's a group of somebodies down in Earth Core. I mean, it makes sense that they'd be there because we're doing the Earth activation, but I don't know who these guys are. I do. Okay. Yes, I do, they said. Okay, let me go look. I didn't know these guys were going to be here. Let's put it that way. Who are you? Oh, weird. I bet they don't know they're there either. There's this large circle of people in Earth Core right now, and they're standing around a flame thing that is connected to the Taran light seed of the Earth shield. And it was funny because they said, "You know these people." Who are they? They're you guys. We're down there too. Am I down there too? Not yet. Okay. Because I don't feel me down there. Lost myself. Are they? Wait, I gotta find out. Are they in Rochelet? Not yet. Okay.